Welcome to Grade 12 Research Presentation. Us 12th graders tried our best and we went above and beyond to ace this paper while beating the quarantine blues. In this paper, we were preoccupied by exploring different aspects of educational systems in 4 hand-picked countries. We were driven by the intention of revamping and bolstering the Egyptian education system after years of suffering from retardation and handicap. We're crossing your fingers that you enjoy every bit of this presentation. Thank you.
In our introduction, we started talking about the fact that proper education and good education is very important for all of us. It facilitates quality learning all through life among people of any age, group, caste, creed, religion, or region. It is the process of achieving knowledge, values, skills, beliefs, and moral habits. Education gives us knowledge of the world around us and changes it into a better place. It develops in us a perspective of looking at life. It helps us build opinions and have points of view on things in life.
So for introduction, people debate over the subject of whether education is the only thing that gives knowledge. Education in its broadest, most general sense is a means through which the aims and habits of a group of people is passed from one generation to the next. Generally, education, narrowest, most technical senses, education is the formal process, for example, instruction in schools, by which society deliberately passes accumulated knowledge, skills, customs, and values from one generation to the next. Every country has their own approach to education that makes them very unique, and our focus in this research is on countries like Japan, US, Finland, and the UK. Thank you.
Firstly, Japan is one of the most developed countries and the strongest economies. Their educational system fundamentally strives over the idea of manners. Their motto is manners over knowledge. For example, students don't take exam until they reach grade 4.
Secondly, the United States, whose education is often focused on practical aspects of teaching that will increase the students' problem-solving skills. And thinking abilities is an inspiring model that we will focus on in this paper. State governments set overall educational standards, often mandate standardized tests for K-12 public school systems, and supervise usually through a pool of regions, states, colleges, and universities. Some of the methods of teaching that the United States have are formative assessments, summative assessment, and non-referenced assessments.
Thirdly, Finland. It ignited our curiosity to find out that their common sense practices and holistic teaching environment strives for equity over excellence. Fourthly, the United Kingdom is also one model we are exploring in this research. Britain is one of the leading pioneers in education, and from which school and university students can get the most prestigious education and top-notch degrees across the world.
Egypt, a developing country, has a long way to go in order to catch up with the latest international trends in education. But it's not impossible if there is strategic will and strategic planning.
The objectives. The aim of our project is to highlight the importance of education through comparing the education system in different countries: Japan, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Finland. The first objective was to evaluate methods of education in different societies. The second objective was to compare methods of assessment, as they will vary depending on the learning outcomes to be measured. We have 2 methods. The first method is the direct method. The direct method are when students demonstrate that they have achieved a learning outcome or objective. The second method is the indirect method. The indirect methods are when students or others report perceptions of how well students have achieved an objective or outcome. The third objective was to find out advantages and disadvantages of each education system in different countries, including parameters like technology, the student-centered learning approaches versus the traditional teacher-centered learning, etc. The fourth objective was to explain the goals of education and the different learning outcomes. The fifth and final objective was to compare and contrast the methods used to train teachers to be highly qualified and apt to become facilitators. Facilitators build on the knowledge-based group.
We also had soft skills objectives, and those are to master communication skills, to practice emotional intelligence, communicate effectively, to master teamwork skills, to develop decision-making skills, to internalize problem-solving skills, to practice adaptability skills, to exercise leadership skills, to practice creativity skills, and to learn ethics skills.
It clearly defines the meaning of methodology. It also allows the reader to critically evaluate a study's overall validity and reliability. The methodology section answers two main questions. How was the data collected or generated? In more details in this part, the researcher will frontier the research strategy, the research method, the research approach, the methods of data collection, the research process, and data analysis.
Hello, today I'm gonna introduce data collection method. First of all, data collection method will focus on following basic techniques for the purposes of this research. And exciting research were used in addition to information about education and system of education in Japan, US, Finland and UK. In more details, some questions were used to get the results, like why are the education system of UK, US, Finland and Japan considered as the best educational systems? What are the advantage and disadvantage of each educational system in different countries, including parameters like technology, student-centered learning approaches versus the traditional teacher-centered learning, etc. What are the different goals and approaches of education and the different learning outcome? What are the methods used to make the teacher to be highly qualified and up to become facilitators?
Meetings were held during April with our teachers. We started to discuss the topic together to understand the idea and the main points. Next, we were assigned into 4 groups. Each group was responsible to do a research on a specific country. We were given a timeline of 3 weeks to finalize each presentation. Each group took one out of the 4 countries and did research on it. Next, each group started a research on these points and were required to add all the references to the PowerPoint. After that, a class meeting was conducted to distribute the groups. Then, we were divided into 4 different groups led by a teacher for completing and merging all the comparisons into one presentation. The 4 groups were based on each part of the presentation. There are only 8 parts: the management team, abstract, introduction, conclusion, objectives, procedures, results, and methodology. After that, we checked everything with our teachers.
We found out that in Japan, principles and general objectives of education, the basic principles enacted in 1946 and the fundamental law of education in 1947. The Constitution provides for the basic right and duty for the people to receive education as follows. All people shall have the right to receive an education corresponding to their abilities. The Japanese system includes content and methods of teaching, educational structure, and government policies in education. The importance of fostering children's creativity, thinking ability, and powers of expression, avoiding emphasis on memorization, was also stressful. Policies and measures in elementary and secondary education includes.
Japan is unique in how it assigns teachers to schools. Teachers are hired at the prefecture level, not at the school level. Prefectures are analogous to states in the United States. There are 47 of them in Japan. There are multiple municipalities in each prefecture, each with its own school board. Teachers' school assignments change every 3 years or so when they first start out teaching, with fewer changes later in their careers. This allows the prefecture to assign the strongest teachers to schools and students that need them the most. In Japan, instead of having a teacher for each subject, you will have just one teacher that teaches all the subjects. When a student reaches their freshman year, they get to decide what they want to be in the future. When they decide what they want to be, the school will teach them the certain subjects according to what they want to be in the future.
In the US, principal and general objectives of USA education One of the primary aims of public education in the United States is to ensure equality of access and opportunity for all boys and girls. So here are some of the US education goals. Many teachers call their work labor of love. Those who choose to enter the teaching profession are looking forward to a long career of educating students and possibly moving up into administrative positions where they have a sizable impact on a curriculum development and school system planning. Once the degree is in hand and the teacher has earned licensure or certification, what can she or he expect from the career? The United States method of teaching vary. Its school districts are divided into elementary, middle, and high schools. They have three types of teaching, which is sheltered instruction, scaffolded learning, and active learning, which all help students get the right ideas into their minds properly.
In Finland, it all starts with school developing education to meet the challenges of today and the future is a central issue in the survival and success of humankind. Decision makers and specialists around the world is frequently seeking the best solution for providing education. One of the greatest strengths of the education in Finland is that it offers everyone equal opportunities to study regardless of social and financial background. Here are some points of the Finnish education goal.
To work as a classified teacher in Finland, university students practice in a teacher training school during their studies. The master's degree includes 20 credits of training for both class teachers and subject teachers. The teacher training in Finland can be compared to university teaching hospitals for medical students. The teacher's profession is highly respected in Finland. A teacher is an expert, comparable to an engineer, lawyer, or a medical doctor. So here are some points why Finnish education is excellent.
Finland's intellectual and educational reforms have completely revolutionized their educational system. The Finnish system does not encourage cramming or standardized tests. Finland's common sense practice and holistic teaching environment strives for equity over excellence. Finland does not divide its basic education into elementary and junior highs. Instead, it offers a single structured education for 9 years, 190 days per year. Finland is mainly considered as the best country in method of teaching. Thank you.
In the UK, our vision is to be at the forefront of the British education internationally. High-level strategic aims working our vision depends on defining a set of realistic and easily achievable objectives. So here are some goals of the UK education. To teach in a state school in England, you must have a degree and gain qualified teacher status, QTS, by following a program of initial teacher training, ITT.
You must have achieved minimum requirements in GCSE, English, Math and Science. The United Kingdom focuses on being more practical rather than just studying. They encourage students to communicate, and instead of just studying, they immerse the student into a subject.
After extensive research trying to find an answer to one of the most important questions, how to improve the Egyptian education system and what can we learn from other education systems around the world, we came to the conclusion that there is no perfectly suitable education system that will be applicable here in Egypt, and that the best solution is to strategically choose the best methods globally. Although the research focused on 4 main countries, US, UK, Japan, and Finland, which offer the strongest educational systems around the world, they all lacked in some areas while exceeding in others, completely contradicting our initial thoughts that they were ideal.
Our main focus was on 4 elements: methods of assessment, teacher trainings and general requirements to qualify for a teacher position, social communication and activities, learning methods.
In conclusion, in order to build an education system that's close to being ideal in Egypt by the year 2030, the strategic choosing of the positive side and avoidance of limitations in the top education systems mentioned before would be the best ways to place Egypt on the right track towards educational reform
An important question that was concluding therefore was, how could we effectively and accurately apply these newfound educational methods and techniques without overwhelming Egyptian students?
Limitations in the research. There is a lack of information on an important element that we considered teachers' training and general requirement. Although we did find some results, they just didn't contain any noticeable differences or innovative aspects.
Hello, today I will talk about a part of conclusion in this research. After conducting this research, we concluded that 1. Education is a dominant factor in the nation building and national development process. Education is a tool for achieving the goals of unity, political stability, economic progress, equal opportunities, and circumventing situations that may lead to conflict. This is because the nation building problem is in the minds of men, and that young people may be effectively integrated into the national culture or awareness of the desirability of preserving the national political framework through the formal education that they may receive.
Okay, so the human race has achieved a lot through education and its application to living and interacting. Education greatly contributes to the growth and development of man. Some people contribute to progress more than others, not because of the genetic ability, but rather because of the background, educational opportunities, and the use of hard work, determination, and ambition. Thank you.
Developing countries have a long way to go in order to cope with the lack of studies approach to methodology in education.
Seasoning educational opportunities with determination and hard work has a serious implications for countries around the world, dividing the world into those who possess and do not have. Technology does and will affect the quality of education in the present time and in the future. Egypt is on the right track for achieving the educational reform. However, it's a country that has a long way to go in order to make it happen. I quote from the late President Abraham Lincoln, who said, "The philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of the government in the future." Thank you for listening to our presentation. Best regards, Etras.
Thank you so much for watching, and we hope that we have been up to your expectations as graduating seniors grade 12.